I think the race is going to be getting started. Yeah, there we go. Started, and we are off. So if you are new to GRIS as a speed game, it was released a little less than a year ago, end of 2018, by Nomada Studios. GRIS is a games as art platformer with a very narrative and aesthetic focus. However, there is no text, there's no death, there's no dying, there's no damage. Just a lot of very precise movement tricks, a little bit of tech, and some small glitches here or there. I'm expecting a very close race between these two runners. Likely within a minute of each other by the end. We're looking at probably about an hour 25, an hour 26 for this race. And nope. I'm going to switch the audio over here to Skylar's audio. That's what we're going to be starting with for the time being. He does have the better PB, so there is a I would say greater than 50% chance as our 2 seed. But also as our resident Mad Lad, he may be going for some really difficult tricks that Cuttyflame might not be going for, and missing tricks is time loss. So we will see what happens. We got about another minute left on this cutscene, followed by a little bit of slow walking, and then the run is really going to begin. The story of GRIS is Spanish for gray. The story of GRIS is that GRIS's mother just passed away, and we are on an adventure to go through our grief and our loss and come to acceptance with the fact that mom has passed away. If you have not seen this game before, it is going to hit you in the feels, so you might want to grab a box of tissues or something. It has come up before. People have been brought to tears by this game, so fair warning. As I said, we're going to go through the 5 emotions of grief, those being denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. The white, aka denial section of the game is going to be relatively short, about 7 minutes, including the cutscenes and the slow walking that we're doing here. The other 4 sections are each going to be about 15 minutes long, and we're going to have about a 7-minute ending section as well. In each of the non-denial sections, we get a power-up. So by the end, we're going to have 4 different abilities that GRIS is going to be able to use. And so I think pretty soon our runners are going to be falling to their knees, after which they're going to stand up and they're going to be able to move a good deal faster. And we're off. So you may notice that Cuddy does have a very slight edge here. That is because there is RNG in that opening cutscene due to loading times. It can vary by a quarter to a half a second. And it does look like Cuddy has a little bit better RNG than Skylar had. You're also going to be noticing that both of our runners are bunny hopping. They're going to be doing that throughout the entirety of the race. It is roughly 3% faster to jump in the air than it is to walk on flat ground, and it is significantly faster to jump on inclines than it is to walk up them. So our runners are going to want to be in the air as much as possible. There isn't anything too crazy that happens here in Denial. But right there, both of our runners did jump into that cutscene. Jumping into a cutscene saves a variable amount of time because of that faster jumping speed versus either a running or a walking speed that GRIS does when she hits that trigger of the cutscene. So pretty much every cutscene throughout the game our runners are going to be jumping from just outside of that cutscene trigger and try to get as far into it as they can. The rest of this area is going to be a couple of precise turn back jumps. And we do grab these stars. So that's the second one that they've grabbed. And the goal of the game basically is to grab all of these stars, take them back to the central hub, and deposit them up into the heavens so that we can build a sky bridge and kind of be reborn, basically, accepting the death of our mother. Some pretty precise platforming that you can do here on that tower, and it does look like Skylar managed to take a very slight lead through a little bit more precise turnbacks on that tower. So as we grab these stars, they are going to be building those bridges. It's kind of the game design's way of forcing us to go in certain directions. And each chapter is going to end with a jump into the hand of the statue of our mother. And this jump right here into this cutscene is the biggest benefactor of jumping into a cutscene. It's about 2 seconds if you can jump from right outside of it versus clipping the very edge of that trigger and having to slow walk through all of it. That looks like a really high 36 from Skylar on that opening denial, which is incredibly good. He's lost less than a second so far. Cutty just very, very slightly behind with a 37. And now we're going to go and deposit our first 3 stars up into the heavens as we go back to the hub. So we have this long staircase here. We can buffer our jump inputs, and so our runners are going to be doing that. Make sure to avoid the hole. Both runners do that. Not a huge time loss, but it is very embarrassing to fall in that hole. Another piece of RNG in the game, this is hard-coded, is the stars going up into the heavens. They take a random pathway up there that can be faster or slower by almost up to a full second each time that you go through a deposit of stars, and that's going to happen 5 times. Mm-hmm. So one of the cool things about the game design of GRIS is that the entirety of the world map is one cohesive piece of land. The downside on speedrunning for that is that there is a lot of just jumping travel from place A to place B, and then back again. A lot of backtracking at the end of areas to get back to the hub from wherever it is that we finished. Or traveling from the hub to the start of the next area. But from a game design perspective and a world map perspective, it's super cool, and not something that you see regularly in games these days. So we have a second tower that our runners are coming up to with similar turnbacks. But not quite as long as the one in white. And it looks like Cutty had a better red tower there than Skylar had, so gained a little bit of time back. Both of our runners so far really clean into the top of that tower. And I think most runners would agree with me that the run of GRIS really starts here. The first 10 minutes is very much inconsistent, or is very much cutscenes. It's very consistent. You're not going to lose more than a second, maybe 2 seconds at worst in that first 10 minutes. But the first big trick of the run is upcoming in the following section that we're coming up to. Our runners are entering the sandstorm section of the game, which for a long time was incredibly boring, had no way to gain or lose time whatsoever. You couldn't skip a cycle, but Skylar managed to find a way to skip a cycle using a really cute and creative trick that he just showed off right there. Doesn't gain or lose any time to do it in that first sandstorm there. It's really just, you're just practicing it. But that is what we've dubbed the Skylar Shimmy. And it is a way to get extra distance, which is the key towards being able to hit one of the final triggers to the sandstorms before it starts and skip an entire sandstorm, which can save between 13 to 15 seconds over the older and casual way of doing things. So up until this point, it is still no ability to gain or lose time. Runners are going to grab a star here, and there's going to be a sandstorm, and exiting out of the sandstorm here is going to be where we start our trials towards skipping a cycle. And every little extra pixel that we're able to get is going to matter in order to try to get this skip. Both of our runners exited really nice and early. Both of them got the momentum jump there off of that slide. It's looking good so far. They both have a chance at it still. But the next sandstorm, this is where we're going to see the shimmy, and this is where we could see our first gap between our two runners. We're going to want to see ideally 3 shimmies. Wow. Hard for me to fully see, but it looks like both of them got enough distance that they should be able to get the full skip. If they make it onto the third platform over here that they're coming up to on the right, then they've gotten the full skip. If they only make it to the second platform, that's a partial. And if they only don't make it to either of those, then they're not going to be able to skip the cycle. But they both made it. They both made it. They are both in line for the full skip still. So our tight race is really continuing here. But they're not out of the woods yet. There is one final thing that they're going to need to do in order to make this cycle skip. So there's going to be this sandstorm here while they're traveling in this giant rock creature. Let's see if any of them gets the free memento, the good luck memento. Neither of them does. A little disappointing. So they're going to want to jump early onto this platform as they exit the rock creature. So, and they both made it. You definitely can jump too early there, in which case you'll fall within the rock creature and you will not make the skip. But as you can see, there was no sandstorm as they exited out of the rock creature, so therefore they both got that full skip. And now they're both going to get their first power-up. Since they are in the anger section of the game, the red section of the game, they are going to be getting an angry power-up. Wow. It was very, very close between the two runners. I think Cuddy was able to catch up slightly because he jumped a little bit earlier out of the rock creature. Skylar played it slightly safe. Yeah, I mean, half a second maybe or less between our two runners, 15 minutes in. So now that we have our ability to heavy, the game is going to teach us how to use it. So our runners are going to want to take 13 steps while in this heavy form to walk through this sandstorm. It's not a cycle. There's triggers to the start and end of the sandstorm. Do not release your heavy early, otherwise you will get blown back and lose about 30 seconds. And there is a second ability to our heavy, which now the game is going to teach us here. We're going to be doing basically 8 ground pounds. We're going to do 3, 2, 3. And you're going to want to make sure to be patient on those ground pounds, because if you try to go too early, you won't be able to jump, and you have to jump before you heavy to break these, and it does lose about 3/4 of a second. So Skylar's heavy breaks here look to be a little bit cleaner. You can see he's opened up a little bit of a lead. Maybe a second and a half now through slightly cleaner sequence of 8 heavies. And this is the second half of red. It is a very cycle-based section with plenty of opportunities to lose 6 seconds. And also a ability to have a 1 second time loss kind of snowball on you into as much as 10 or more seconds of time loss. So hopefully that doesn't happen for either of our runners. The first thing they're going to do here is try to have a clean tower climb and make first cycle windmill, which it looks like both of our runners no problem doing. And they are going to continue to jump on that windmill, because if you stand on the windmill, it rotates slower. Harder than it looks to make that in 1 cycle. Both runners made it look really easy. Another piece of RNG our runners are coming up to, there's going to be a little tiny rock guy that walks back and forth. His name is Lenny. And if you have left side Lenny, you're going to lose about a second versus right side Lenny. So full right side for both of our runners there, no time loss. Great to see that RNG really isn't playing a factor. Ooh, both of our runners very left side on that heavy, which is a little risky. Oh no, and our first mistake of the run, Cuttyflame missed that cycle. As I was saying, so you can heavy to trigger that pressure plate anywhere on there, but the further left that you're able to trigger it and still make the cycle, the more time you're going to save. So Skylar is going to gain about an additional 6 seconds on Cutty from missing that cycle. And both runners are going to have to wait once they get back to the middle, no matter how optimal they are grabbing that star. It's just how this cycle works out. Cuddy doing a little dance. Hopefully that dance, gives him a little bit better luck in movement, so he's not going to miss any more cycles. We'll see how that actually works out. And yes, the artwork of this game is absolutely breathtaking. The watercolors from Conrad Rosé are just ridiculous. So there is a trick. Skylar did not get it there. We'll see if Cuddy gets it, and then I will explain what could happen if neither gets it. Oh, Cuddy, a little bit of issues breaking that. Neither got the trick, but there is tech in this game called insta-heavies. And basically, an insta-heavy works by the collision between the hitboxes of Grease in heavy form versus the frame perfect of whatever object she's going into, whether it is to break a rock formation or whether it is walking off the edge of a landing platform. And if you time it frame perfectly, you can cancel out the half-second animation of doing a heavy and basically save that time. So Skylar is up in the George room, and he got a good George because his movement has been quite good throughout this whole sequence of events in the second half of Red. George is on a global timer. Cutty, with the 6-second time loss that he had, he's getting George on the way back. Also didn't have to wait at all. It's really frustrating when George just walks out of your range and you have to wait for him to come back. Also, having to wait for George really messes up your cycles back in the central area of this section, as we're going to finish up the next area. So we're going to go over, and as you can see with Skylar, he's going to head to the balloon star. And after the balloon star, he's hopefully going to make a clean cycle up to the Ferris wheel. This game came out in around December 2018, so just under a year ago. And there is a little leeway in grabbing this balloon star and still being able to make the ideal cycle back in the middle. You may have noticed that Skylar got pushed forward when he was jumping through the stairs right there. That's called a zip. And zip is another little tech of the game. So yeah, Skylar actually even had to wait there for a second because his movement was really optimal. So zips basically happen when a diagonal platform in the background bisects Gris's neck. You wouldn't like it very much if your neck was getting cut in half, and Gris doesn't like it either. So the game just pushes her forward, or pushes her in the direction of the downward slope of that plane, and gives her just a little bit of boost of a few frames. So it can work in reverse as well, and you can get a bad zip. You can also get a bad zip off this Ferris wheel. Hopefully Skylar avoids it, and he does. Which, if you get it, it's a good zip, but it actually pushes you too far, and it pushes you back off of the platform that you're trying to go on, and you have to cycle around again for about like an 8 or 9 second time loss if it happens. Very frustrating. There we go. There's an insta-heavy from Skylar off the edge of the top of the Ferris wheel. Cutty is having a little bit of issues with his movement. Skylar is not focusing on his race. He is typing in chat as we go, giving some spoilers, I think, because the race feed is, I think, about 45 seconds to a minute behind. So anything he's typing in chat, I would strictly ignore. So one interesting thing is almost every runner of the game plays with a controller. Except Skylar. Skylar plays with a keyboard. So he likes to, type in Discord, type in Twitch chat with one hand while he's playing with the other. As I said, he is our resident mad lad. So I think he already gave away that he finished in a 23:43, which is basically optimal. That's RTA fastest that really anyone has gotten to that point in. That's my RTA fastest to that point is a 23:43. Cutty still with a fully respectable 57. So we're looking at about a 14-second difference. So yeah, the biggest difference between keyboard and controller is later on in the game when we get the ability to swim. It is a little bit of a problem to try to swim using your 4 arrow keys instead of having an analog stick for full range of motion. Skylar breaking the pot there, as he should. Team green on the pot break right here. But, Cutty Oh, Cuddy. Cuddy going with the team yellow on the pot break. I think he might even just be doing it to spite me. He knows that most folks are on team green. So there is going to be about a second and a half of fake differential between our two runners for about the next 45 minutes until we reach the yellow section of the game and Cuddy is able to break that pot himself. As far as we know, there's no actual time gain or loss between when you break the pots. It's just personal preference and a little bit of friendly banter amongst those on Team Green versus Team Yellow. There's also a similar back and forth between going left side or right side first once we get to yellow. Once again, that is purely just runner's preference. So now we are traveling over denial to the forest of bargaining. And we'll see if either runner gets a insta heavy off the ledge here as well. Looks like Skylar does. 2 instas for Skylar, really nice. And no insta for Cuddy there. He walked off the ledge before starting his heavy, so he is going to lose the full half a second there. So this split for the first half of green here that we're in is usually very, very consistent for our runners. I would not expect them to lose much time at all. It is pretty consistent, no real major tricks, a couple of pretty easy cycles to make. The biggest time loss in this section is actually RNG, which I will talk about in a little bit. And so both runners did make the first cycle on those trees cycle. That's probably the hardest trick in this section of the game. And definitely the biggest time loss if you screw it up. So both runners, even though they had a fall into the cutscenes, they both did jump into those cutscenes as well to make sure that they landed as far left as possible. So they had to walk as short of a distance as they could. There are a lot of situations where your best practice in a fall is going to be to heavy. Any heavy that where you're free falling straight down that's longer than 2 seconds, it's going to be advantageous to heavy. However, in most other cases where you are able to move left or right, you're going to want to just free fall. Wow, Skylar almost went too early on that triangle. I've done that before. I've jumped too early before it's actually materialized and you fall straight through. It's a very frustrating feeling to have that happen, but Skylar played it risky, but very, very fast. So, and now Skylar has met our friend Macaroni. Cuddy is just meeting Macaroni as well. Macaroni is the king of RNG for this game. He is hard-coded to take his sweet time arbitrarily if he so chooses. Every action that Macaroni takes has about a 20% chance of just taking 1 second longer. Because Macaroni is a real pal. So I think Skylar forgot where he was going there. At least I'm not really sure what he was doing there otherwise. And it's also very hard to tell whether you're getting bad Macaroni RNG or not. you can usually tell when he's biting into apples, because normally as soon as he picks up an apple, he'll have a sound effect and will immediately start biting into it. But sometimes he'll just pause and wait, and so that one you can kind of tell. But most of the other stuff, like at the door that Skylar's at here, it's much harder to tell if he decides to wait or not. So Macaroni, is a bit of a copycat. Whatever we do, Macaroni does. There you go. Skylar gets another nice zip that really just lines up perfectly. If you do your heavy in the correct spot, you can just jump straight out of it into that little zip there. We have 2 more heavies that we're going to do to break some stuff together with Macaroni. Little cutscene, and then we are going to be saying goodbye to Macaroni and farewell. Good riddance. Your arbitrary time loss. So it's about 21 into that cutscene for Skylar. About 34 for Cutty. So about 13-second differential. Looks like Cutty was able to make up 1 second, probably due to slightly better Macaroni RNG, but tough to tell. It did look like Skylar's movement was a little cleaner throughout, so that is my guess. And we are now in the area where we're going to collect our first 2 stars for green and get our second power-up. Little bobble from Skylar there. It's honestly the first mistake that I think he's made in this run so far. These platforms are a little suspect on their hitboxes, so it is very easy to try to turn back a little too tightly and wind up missing one of those platforms. Oh wow, SpeedGaming with the huge raid. 163 people. Thank you so much, SpeedGaming, and welcome to GRIS. I'm Tasselfoot, and here with Cuttyflame and Skylarfox. This is a second round match between our number 10 and number 2 seeds. Yeah, any questions about what GRIS is as a speed game? Happy to help you guys out and answer. But if nothing else, just enjoy the absolutely beautiful artwork that this game brings to the table. Expected runtime is about 1 hour and 25 minutes. So we are about 1/3 of the way into this race. Our runners are about 13 seconds apart at this time, with Skylarfox having a small lead. Skylar was able to line up his jumps pretty perfectly. Didn't have to do any extra movement to get them aligned, because these red trees, as opposed to Cutty, who did have to do an extra jump there, these red trees do swap back and forth every time that our runners jump. Skylar doing the swag jump there too. Gotta love that. Marginally faster, but looks oh so cool. No swag jump from Cutty. Plays it a little bit safe. And we are getting our second power-up of the game. We now have a double jump. And that second double jump is also a glide. So our runners are going to continue to bunny hop with a single jump because our single jump remains 3% faster than our glide. The glide is the same speed as walking on flat ground. So we are in the second half of green now. There are some pretty cool cycles and a couple of neat tricks that our runners are going to pull off, hopefully, in this section. And outside of those tricks, it's a very consistent section as well. There's also a little bit of RNG that is going to be coming up in a couple of seconds on Skylar's side. The two birds that cycle around a tree, they have two different positions. About 90% of the time, they are in the bad RNG position and you lose 3 seconds, but about 10% of the time, which, wow, Skylar gets the good RNG, man. You do get good RNG and you don't have to wait at all, saving about 3 seconds. And then Skylar's jumps that he just did right there were really clean, and he should be able to make the full double fast trees. Cutty, on the other hand, I think is only going to get single fast trees because his movement was not quite as good. So yeah, Cutty's just barely making that first set of trees there. He is not going to make the second set above. Skylar did make it, but Cutty should wait here. Yeah, and rightfully, okay. He realized it, and so he's losing about 3 seconds. Plus the bad RNG on the birds, so about 6 seconds overall there. 3 that were his doing, and 3 that were not. So it's looking at about a 20-second lead at this point. Oh, Cutty going left side. This is another area where it doesn't actually matter. I'm not sure, if you go left side or right side, it should even out. Thank you guys for the bless yous. That was not me. That was my girlfriend downstairs with the very loud sneezes. I will pass along the gesundheits and bless yous to her. I wasn't sure if that came through my microphone or not. Apparently it did. And we are now into the first boss fight of the game. It is definitely a non-traditional boss fight. A good jump there from Skylar, avoids getting pushed back by the bird. Cutty gets the same as well. No pushback. And we're gonna also, I didn't mention that now that we have a double jump, we also have jump canceling. Really clean in there from Skylar with the jump cancel. Prevents any sort of bonking as well. He also prevents the fall animation from playing. Nicely done on Cuttyflame's side as well. Not quite as clean traveling up those birds from Cutty. He should have been holding right there, but it looks like he went straight up. And Skylar is coming up on a trick known as Bird Blow, which he found. It is a very risk-reward strat. We'll see if he goes for it or not. It involves a little bit of jank action to double trigger the bird. He is going to go for it, but he did not get it. Oh, he missed his first try, but it looks like he knew it right away, canceled it quickly. Fails it a second time, really giving some opportunity for Cuttyflame to catch up, and Skylar is going to say, screw this, I'm doing it casually. Cuttyflame says screw it from the get-go, not going to risk the bird blow. So Bird Blow, if you pull it off first try, you do save 3 seconds over the casual route, but it does lose you about 7 to 10 seconds if you fail it. Skylar's maybe a little less, maybe only 5 seconds on each of those fails, as he did catch it very, very quickly that he was going to fail. Skylar is angry, as he is letting everyone know in the chat right now. So I think the lead was cut in half, at least, if not even a little bit more. Be able to tell in a second or two here. Yeah, we're actually looking at about a 6-second differential, so about 7 seconds per fail that Cutty gained back. I am really loving it from the commentator perspective. I hope the viewers are as well, that we're all the way back down to a 6-second lead. Super exciting. And we're coming up to the end of our bird fight. There are some neat tricks that they're going to do from the casual strat. That is a new trick that I have not seen before. Skylar Fox pulling off some previously unknown strats right there, it looked like. And it did look like it's faster than our current normal strategy and routing. So gonna have to be looking into that one after this race to see what he just did there. Whatever it was definitely fast. He's holding back from the rest of the community and saving it for the races. Definitely increased his lead again there. It looks like it's up to maybe 10 or 11 seconds. So 57 from Skylar on the finish there. 07 for Cutty. So 10-second lead halfway through this race. We have finished our bargaining section and we are moving into depression. Would Skylar have shown it off if he had had a larger lead? I think he probably would have. That's probably what he's just doing. And Skylar gets the blind jump out of the tower. Harder than it looks. Cuttyflame does not get it, falls into the water there, loses another 1.5 seconds. Anytime we get into water, we're going to want to get out of it as quick as possible. Water is the slowest means of travel now that it has been introduced. Anytime that our runners do enter the water, they're going to want to enter it gliding. If you enter it off of a single jump or by ending your glide, you are going to fall further into that water, which means a slower swim back up to the surface. Community trying to hold out on strats from the commentator, it seems like. Not cool, commentator says. Not cool at all. I love Skylar continuing to talk. in the Speed Gaming chat here while in the middle of his race. Just doing a little backtrack here to the hub so we can deposit our green stars. Overall, this green backtrack, very easy. Pretty much the only thing that determines your time in this split is whether you make that blind jump at the beginning or not. Everything else, very straightforward. Looks like it's about 10-second lead still, maybe 11. And so we're going to go down into a cavern below the hub now. And as soon as we get out of the water where Skylar is, right there, everything that happens from here until we reach the power-up platform is going to be gated in 8-second intervals. There is an ice cavern at the bottom, and it freezes GRIS every 8 seconds. Most runners are going to aim for hitting what is known as fast cycle, and they have about 7-ish seconds of leeway and mistakes that they can make while still making fast cycle. Skylar, really nice on a heavy dive skip right there. Breaking that heavy block, but not falling down, saving himself a very slow swim back up through the water. Cutty, unfortunately, heavied a little bit too far to the left and has to do that slow swim. Loses 5 seconds. It is still possible to make fast cycle when you miss heavy dive skip, but it is awfully tight. There is a fastest cycle that is possible to make, RTA, but has only been done once ever by anyone in our community. So it is not something that I would expect either runner. Well, Cutty can't do it. Skylar playing it safe right there with that jump and not trying to heavy right off the ledge. So that pretty much ruins any chance that Skylar has of making the fastest cycle either. But both runners still going to be going and trying to hit that fast cycle. Really, really going to be costly if either one loses 8 seconds. Take in how beautiful that scenery is on Skylar's side. Similar scene coming up right here from Cuttyflame. We'll see how clean Skylar's mushrooms are here. Perfect. Really clean mushroom. Already a slight bobble on Cutty's side, and holds that a little bit long as well. But otherwise, pretty clean. It's going to be very close for Cuttyflame, whether he's able to make fast cycle or not. Skylar should be able to make it without any trouble. It's the Skylar shimmy, not the Skylar shuffle. For our viewers in chat, the trick that was pulled off back in the sandstorm area. So Skylar now, he has to do 2 heavies, and he is then going to be in the ice cavern. Cuttyflame not far behind. Honestly, if Skylar had not done a safety jump into the water heavy, he would have had a chance at making fastest cycle, I think. But you can see he has time even to dance, and he's still going to easily make that fast cycle. Cutty, we'll see. Unfortunately, Cutty looks like Cutty probably missed that cycle. It's not always the easiest to tell, but it does look like he is about 18 seconds behind now instead of 10 seconds. So that is unfortunate, but completely common to happen when you fail the heavy dive skip. Also, a slight jump issue from Cutty there. It might make it a little hard for him to hit the cycle on the right side as well. We'll see what happens there. I really hope he doesn't lose an additional cycle. Yeah, we're going to see if Skylar goes for a trick that is unique to him. He does, and he hits it too. Oh my goodness. No one else is going to be attempting that trick that he just did. Everyone else is going to be doing a standard 2-cycle that Cutty just did. Skylar's trick, it saves 5 seconds. It is incredibly difficult, incredibly precise. You have about 1 second to set it up. And if you fail it, you're basically missing 2 additional ice cycles. So it is super risky. But man, he hit it. He's going to gain an additional 5 seconds right there. And he is into the water. Cuttyflame still having a great run. Not taking anything away, but Skylar... Almost no mistakes except for Bird Blow in his run so far here. However, I did mention earlier that Skylar is playing on keyboard. It is going to make his water movement a little bit less precise than some of the other runners. So it is an opportunity for Cutty to make up a few seconds at least if he can have some pretty clean water movement. Think doing golden feathers in Celeste on keyboard. That's kind of what it's like doing water movement on keyboard in GRIS. Clean right side. Both of our runners working on this lower left star that we do have to circle around to get. But Skylar Fox about 1 full circle of that lower right area ahead. And he's heading to the last underwater star, the hardest of the 4, the water tower. Definitely tough to do on keyboard. Well, Skylar made that look really easy. That was an incredibly good water tower right there. I think our boy's been practicing. And there's another trick coming up that we're going to skip the cutscene here. Skylar hits it. Doesn't actually skip the cutscene, but you trigger it and you're able to move south on it. Because our friend Turtle here is basically a little mini auto-scroller. And if you wind up inside the turtle, then the turtle is going to wind up waiting for you. Cutty, unfortunately, doesn't wait long enough. And on the second trigger, he gets caught. So he's going to lose another 5 or 6 seconds from missing that first opportunity, and then also losing time afterwards, having to catch up to the turtle. That is unfortunate. So Skylar, I am a little surprised. There is basically a TAS-only strat where you can just skip this swim and go over the top of that tower to the right. Skylar decides not to try for it. It would not have surprised me if he had went for it. We got a little bit of a cutscene here, about 45 seconds, I believe. As technically this is the end of Blue. I don't really think of it as the end of Blue. There is still a boss fight to come and a very long backtrack afterwards, but technically speaking, this is the end of our Blue section. We are in a hand in the statue of our mother. It looks like about a 31-second lead, I believe, right now. So I should note that Skylar's PB is about 1.5 minutes ahead of Cuttyflame, so I do think at this time Cutty might be on PB pace. I'm not certain about that, but it wouldn't surprise me. Skylar is now heading into our second boss fight with our good friend, the Water Snake. It's a little bit like an auto-scroller. Not 100%, but mostly auto-scroller. The the eel does telegraph when it's going to bite. It does a little half bite before its full bite, so you can time it pretty easily to not get yourself bitten. I know casually it's one of the harder achievements that the game has to complete the eel fight without getting bitten, but once you know that the telegraph is a thing, it becomes pretty easy. And Skylar's heading into the dark tunnel section, which can certainly lose you 5 or 6 seconds if you forget where you're going. It is pretty much pitch black, and you just have to memorize the routing here and where you need to turn and how many dives you need to do. However, it is pretty friendly. Even if you kind of forget, the tunnel itself kind of pushes you in the correct direction. Skylar's finishing it up, going into the second half of our eel fight. This is my favorite music in the game right here. So, shout outs to Berlinist. They are the orchestral group that composed and performed all of the music in the game. Oh boy. That's our boy Turtle right there. What up, Turtle? Turtle here to save the day again. Turtle is our hero. Turtle, destroyer of the eels. Here on SpeedGaming 5. That eel didn't see what hit him. That was also a sub 1 hour eel for skylarfox, which is always really impressive to see. Our boy Turtle on Cuttyflame's side as well. And our runners are now going to be doing their backtrack up to the hub, deposit these blue stars before heading off to the final section of the game. Can already start seeing some of the yellow colors and hues that we're going to have in acceptance showing up on this backtrack. Skylar is heading into everyone's favorite, the YOLO jump. It's a 1 second time save and 15-second time loss if you screw it up. Oh my god, I thought he messed that up right there. I very much thought Skylar failed YOLO jump. He jumped out of it incredibly early, but somehow he still pulled it off and made it safely to that left side. Almost cost himself 15 seconds, but didn't. Cuddy's coming up on YOLO jump as well. He had it, but decided it wasn't worth the risk. Went back, landed on the platform, and jumped up from there. Not a very good exit out of the water for Skylar. But, however, he is still in the water now, so he'll be able to get a dive out of the water after the cutscene, which is only a small time loss. And Cuttyflame is now doing that climb through the water up into his cutscene as well. There you go. That's what I was talking about from Skylar. Oh, a little bit of issues jumping up onto that platform, grabbing those birds from the pot that he broke earlier. Cuttyflame is still going to have to break that pot. As Skylar now enters acceptance. About a 36, 37 second lead right now. The acceptance section of the game is pretty much devoid of cycles. It is all about that movement. So you can't hide. There's no 7 seconds of forgiveness like going down to the ice cavern. If you make a mistake here, you're losing time. It also has the hardest and most precise platforming of any of the areas of the game. So you combo that up, it is very easy to lose 10, 15 seconds or more in this section just through minor movement mistakes that add up. Not a clean exit there from Cuttyflame out of the water. He tried doing a little dolphin strat, and I think it wound up messing up his recharge. And so wound up, I think, hurting him more than helping him. We've also got these yellow birds now that are time sensitive, but I don't expect any of the timers to cause our runners problems. They are very lenient for casual players, and even with multiple mistakes, our runners should pretty easily make any of those yellow bird cycles. Skylarfox going through the water squares, pretty clean for his keyboard movement there. Had a slight little issue triggering the firefly that he's got right now, but not too bad. Slight bonk on Cuttyflame's side. I think slightly better from Cutty there, likely as a result of having a controller and free range of motion. Just makes it a little bit easier. This section of the game, now that we are into the stars area, we've traveled up appropriately into the acceptance area. Skylar doing a little dolphining. This is the only area of the game where before and after we get our power-ups, we travel the same area. So we are going left and right before we get our power-up, and then we are going to hit those same areas left and right after we get our power-up. Although slightly differently. The power-up, our final power-up, is definitely going to change things. Also, our runners have a bit of a divergence here. Skylarfox choosing to go right side first, Cuttyflame going left side first. They will meet back up at their final power-up. Skylar making his way through what is my favorite section of the game. Some really precise and satisfying sequence of movement. Really well executed from Skylar. And so you notice that our runners jump into those little pools of water and then dive out of them. That is faster than jumping over them. And we will be seeing them do that about 6 times throughout this acceptance portion of the game. And Skylar now trying to catch up to Cuttyflame here on the left side. Swag strat from Cuttyflame. Skylar just kind of getting started here on the left side. Oh, tried to cut that back a little bit too thinly as Cuttyflame is finishing up his left side. Cuttyflame is going to have to go to the right side still, whereas Skylar has already done that right side. A little bit safe there from Skylar. No jumps, no swag movement, really. Good trigger of that platform. I think Skylar just hit the wrong button there. He meant to jump, but he accidentally heavied instead. I know that's certainly happened to me once or twice. So, and Skylar getting his final power up. As Cuddy is making his way through the satisfying upside down section. So Skylar now has the ability to sing. He's going to be able to, open up a bunch of flowers with his singing ability, and maybe trigger a couple of creatures as well. It's looking, I want to say about 45 seconds, somewhere in that range. Maybe 50 seconds difference right now. Skylar definitely has opened up a bit of a lead. And so the unique feature to grab these final stars is there is a big circular room on each side. Skylar is making his way towards Bug Room, as is Cuddy. And there are major skips in each of these rooms. In the Bug Room, doing it casually, it's probably going to be 2 cycles, each cycle being 10 seconds long. Our runners have a fairly easy trick for them called 1 cycle, which saves 10 seconds. But then there is a insanely hard no cycle trick, which saves an additional 22 seconds. I think Skylar will go for no cycle here. He hit it. Oh my goodness. Let's go, everybody. So what Skylar just did there is he did a coyote jump off the edge of that platform, 1 pixel off the edge, and then after he flipped over, he did a pixel perfect second jump that gave him just enough height and distance in order to make it cleanly to the other side without ever having to trigger that topmost bug platform. Really, really hard to do. He is now on PB pace. He was not on PB pace beforehand, but his PB did not include no cycle. So I think he was only maybe 10 seconds behind PB, which puts him probably 12 seconds ahead of PB now. Cuttyflame, as you would expect, not hitting no cycle. It is an incredibly hard trick. I mean, even if you know what you're doing, hitting it 20% of the time is a really good percentage. It's just that hard of a trick. However, as Skylar makes his way over to the left side, he's going to be heading towards Flower Room. And the major skip on Flower Room, unlike Bug Room, is completely and utterly free. They are pretty much the easiest and hardest tricks in the game. And Skylar getting into this cutscene nicely. He's right on the edge. He's got a free insta-heavy that he's going to be able to do out of this cutscene just by holding left and his heavy button. I also would like to point out that we've had 3 races so far in this tournament. 6 runners have participated, including Cuttyflame once winning his first round match. So far, we've had 5 PBs, and our 6th runner was 2 seconds off of their PB in this tournament. Is that going to continue? Is Cuttyflame going to PB for a second time in this tournament? Is Skylarfox, our 2nd place on the leaderboards, going to be able to pull off a PB thanks to no cycle? I am super hyped to find out. I hope you guys all are as well. Skylar is making his way towards Flower Room here. as Cuddy got some good movement there. I'm not sure if he's going to get the insta-heavy. Really nice jump cancel from Skylar. Easily gets the free trick and skipping the top half of Flower Room. Yeah, no insta-heavy there for Cuttyflame out of that cutscene. So now that Skylar has grabbed his final star, all he has to do is a slight backtrack and climbing up some trees. Continue posting in chat. I'm guessing he's already made it into the cutscene before the end of this section. So before, on his way to Flower Room, he sang to 2 flower plants, open those up. At the time, it loses about half a second, but because they're already open and he's going to use them a second time here, it is going to save time overall. And now he's got a little cutscene, and then he is going to climb some trees and finish off yellow. And he is going to have accepted the death of his mother. But the run isn't over. Not yet. And Cuddy is making his way back after doing Flower Room himself. Skylar is awfully close to world record pace, I want to say. We have this final section of the game here. We've got about 5 minutes of cutscenes and 2 pretty simplistic platforming sections. Skylar has been known to have trouble on the first of those 2 sections, so that is the one we're going to want to watch out for and see how he can do on it. So I would also point out that Cuttyflame is 34 seconds ahead of his PB right now, and Skylar is definitely ahead of his PB. But he does not have his splits up on his side, just the timer, so I cannot tell where he is. We have to do this nice little slow swim up through the broken pieces of the statue. And then we're going to do some platforming up the statue to repair the damage that's happened. Skylar choosing not to sing to the statue of his mom, the coffin, which makes sense given the pace that he's on. No reason to lose half a second for that. Clean movement, jumping up the statue so far. This is a really good run. I want to say the only mistake that Skylar made in this whole run was on Bird Blow. Pretty much the entire rest of the run is super, super clean. You know, absolutely incredible job. This run would probably be sub 14 if he had hit Bird Blow, which is insane. Current world record, by the way, is 124.11. So this final platforming section really has nowhere to make a mistake on. Just 3 turn back jumps. You could cut them too early, but I don't think that that's likely to happen. He is going to be awfully close to world record on this run, and you know, kudos and major props to him if that is what he winds up getting. And he's home free. All he's doing is just jumping up. I think he's got it. One second world record. Congratulations, Skylar. That is awesome, man. And our string of PBs continues. So officially by 1.1 second. And congrats to Cuttyflame as well for getting another really big PB as well. 125.27. That's absolutely amazing. Skylar, are you able to come in here for some questions? And are you able to pop into the Discord, man, for a little interview? Maybe not. Not sure we're going to be able to get our runners in here. Would love to. So that seems like that is going to be it. 7 PBs in 8 runners races in this tournament, including a world record. Wait. We're trying to get Skylar in here for an interview.
Hi. Yeah, I don't think I'll get the world record in 1 month.
Hey, Cuddy.
PB2 in a race.
Oh, sounds like Cuddy's coming through on his stream. I think that's where that audio is coming from.
Hi.
Hey, Cuddy.
Now you can hear me.
Yeah. GG on the PB there again.
Yeah, I tried my best. It's still a good run. But Skylar is just insane.
Yeah, he went and got
World record
from
by 1 second.
Yeah, he beat my time. This is the first change in world record holder in 9 months. 9 months I held it. So congratulations. We're trying to get him in here still.
He's on his phone, I think, so it's a bit hard maybe for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If we can get him in here, we will. What were your thoughts on your race there? I know you had a little bit of issue. You hit sandstorm skip. You had a little issues with the double fast trees. Little issues with heavy dive skip.
I just played too aggressively. That's my problem. I wanted to play perfectly, but that led to more mistake than anything else.
Still, 30-second PB, man. Congratulations again. You're just like a week ago, your PB was an hour 30. So
3 weeks ago, I wasn't playing this game.
Yeah, and now you're like top 5 on the leaderboard. So that's pretty incredible. But we now have Skylar here as well. Skylar, congratulations, man.
I want to cry.
Dude,
you're taking the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, you've been putting the work in, man. Honestly, you've been playing this game, you know, almost every day recently. Really grinding at it, man. I'm thrilled that you got this run, that you hit no cycle. You know, you deserve it, man. What are your thoughts here?
I think those acceptance ILs really paid off in the end there.
Yeah, your acceptance was super clean, both parts.
I usually can't do no cycle, and somehow I've been able to hit it like 3 times in a row recently, which is kind of insane. But I don't know. I should have grinded ILs earlier.
I mean, I was telling you for months. I've been telling everybody that grinding ILs is really beneficial. So I'm thrilled for you, man. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to come back and try to take that from you.
Don't do that.
I mean, if everyone is PBing in this tournament, that means I've got a PB too, though, right? And if I PB,
You can PB by like half a second.
you know, that is a fair point. I could PB by half a second. So, congratulations. Moving on to the semifinals. You will be facing the winner of Aggie and Captain Anarchy, which I think will be a great race as well. Cuddy, you had honestly, again, man, great tournament. Really great runs. Congratulations on improvements. I hope you stick around with playing the game more. I think you could probably wind up challenging and getting 124s as well.
Yeah, 124 will be my final goal, I think.
Okay, for now.
For now.
Yeah, I think that's all we've got then for the tournament. Make sure to subscribe and follow both of these runners, Cuttyflame _ skylarfox. Give some love also to your commentator if you want, Tasselfoot. That is me. We have another race coming up in a few hours, about 2 hours and 20 minutes, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be on SpeedGaming 3. And is our final first round matchup between Natalier and FC Racers. They are our 8 and 9 seed. It's going to be a really close match. 1 hour and 20 minutes. Thank you so much for the correction, Aggie. 1 hour and 20 minutes, 7 p.m. Eastern on SpeedGaming 3. It should be exciting. Hopefully we continue this trend and we'll get up to 9 PBs and 10 runners in races. So we'll be awesome to look out for. And stay tuned, check the schedule for all of the future races in this tournament. Any final comments, guys?
Congrats on the world record, Skylar.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats again, man. And that is all we've got. Take care, everyone, and hope you enjoyed the race.
See ya in 1 hour, 20 minutes.